So freshman year, I'm a senior now, if you didn't know that. I was having a lot of really bad headaches, and I didn't know like why or what to do about them. And so like we got an appointment with the neurologist, like my parents did, and they thought they were just migraines or whatever. And so they put me on this medicine. The medicine they gave me, you're supposed to take it as soon as you notice a headache starting, and hoping it's a migraine. That's what I was hoping. And it worked maybe like 1 in 5 of the times that I used it. So with all of that, I would get a migraine like once every week, and then they would last like a day. So one day on, 6 days without having one. And it just kept getting worse until it was pretty much like 6 days headache, 1 day off. We got into the neurologist again or whatever, and they said, oh, it's like you have high blood pressure or whatever, even though I don't think I did at the time. I don't think I've ever had problems with blood pressure. So they said that migraines happen when like blood vessels in your head are too tight, and so the medicine they put me on was for high blood pressure, and it just dilates your blood vessels. And that all that did was just make me really dizzy and lightheaded every time I exercised, which I had PE at school every day, so that was a blessing. So I didn't like that, and it didn't really help with the headaches. And so what was the next thing we did? We got in for blood tests, because we're like, okay, something's obviously up. They did some tests, and they said, and so there were like tons of other stuff, like they were testing for a ton of stuff. Me personally, I know something's up, like something's wrong, and I'm trying to like figure out what it is. Like I'm trying to see if I can figure it out. And what's going on through my mind is I have brain cancer. Like, I'm being 100% serious. That's what I thought. You know, I don't know. It wasn't good thinking that. But anyways, so they reassured me with the blood tests. The blood tests showed, okay, it's not, if it was cancer, it's not in a late stage. So I'm kind of reassured, because I know it's not in a late stage if it is. And so we can get rid of it. So where do we go from here? All right. So a month goes by, and they're like, well, we'll order an MRI and see where that goes from there. And the MRI was scheduled February 11th, 2014. And I only know this date because it's the date before my birthday. It was kind of a scary day. Like we walked in, and like, I don't know, like the headaches were just kind of off the charts by now. And I remember like the MRI was supposed to last 45 minutes. Like the MRI was 45 minutes, and then like the appointment after was like half an hour. And I was in the actual MRI machine for I think 2.5 hours, and then the appointment after was another 30 minutes. And it was such a long time waiting there. And especially like when they pulled me out halfway through, or towards the end, they're like, all right, we're gonna put this chemical in your blood that'll make the picture more clear and contrast more. It's literally called contrast. There's like a certain chemical name, but that's what they call it, is an MRI with contrast. And so I have one of those today. That's why I'm vlogging today, is I have an MRI with contrast, and I have it in about 3 hours. So I'm not really nervous this time. This one's just a follow-up. But anyways, so it was kind of at such a bad point that they wanted contrast to, this is like what I think they did. They wanted contrast to get a clearer picture and see like what exactly was causing the problem. And so This vlog's gonna be really long if I don't end up explaining the whole thing. But what I have is it was called endoscopic third ventriculostomy, or ETV for short, and it's pretty much, I'll just give you the rundown of it. So your brain produces fluid every day, like nonstop, and every day it produces like half a liter of fluid. And there was a tumor, so that was my diagnosis, was I have a brain tumor that's like the size of a pea. So just something that big can cause a massive problem. Anyways, so that tumor just kind of clogged the drain, if you will, and the fluid wouldn't drain. Like some of it would, because the brain produces a lot of fluid, and where it all drains is it drains down your spine, and so it's like right in the back, where it all kind of goes down from your brain. So like when I got the news, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, they said tumor, like tumor equals cancer, and like that point I was pretty convinced that I had cancer. And so I remember I was like screaming in like it was like almost like the hallways, like if you go in, I don't know, I was like screaming in where they like gave me the news. I was like screaming, and I was like, I remember kicking my feet, like stomping. I was sitting in a chair. I remember like stomping my feet like so hard that I almost hurt my feet. Like it was hurting my ankles and my heels to do it, but I wouldn't stop because that was just like my natural instinct. And I didn't know what to do. Like, you know, what do you do in that case? And so they said it was probably like 1 in the afternoon at this time, and they said you are going to have brain surgery tomorrow morning. And so that was kind of a shock, saying, like, knowing that I was in such a severe case, like such a bad condition, that they had to do surgery on me in less than 24 hours. And so that was a little scary for me, and especially since the next day was my birthday, which kind of sucked. And so yeah, so that's pretty much the rundown of it. And there's tons of like side effects of it, like when you have a big surgery. I don't know if it's for everyone, but it happened to me, PTSD, which it sucks. And for me, it occurs most of the time right around like end of December to like beginning of March. So just around this time, which is when I've stopped uploading. So that's when it just kind of stops, I guess, or that's when it starts. And then it brought all sorts of other problems for me, like having to not do anything physical for 3 months afterwards, which 3 months is about the same amount of time that I have, you know, the problems. And so it sucks, but I try to get over it. So the reason I'm vlogging this today is I have a follow-up MRI, and this one is with contrast. So they're gonna do a couple scans without contrast, and then they're gonna pull me out of the machine and then put an IV in, and then put the contrast in, and then put me back in the machine and do a couple more scans. And then hopefully it'll last about the same amount of time that they said it would be. Otherwise I will probably think that something went wrong, like in the past little bit, but yeah, that's just about it. I can't really think about anything else, but yeah, that's kind of why I haven't been uploading. So I'll let you guys know the results, and I'll hopefully vlog some of the what's it called, some of the appointment, maybe, I don't know. It's the scary machine itself. Just got done. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. So